Ding! Congratulations, host, on your arrival in the web novel universe. Your current mission is to redeem Evelyn Hayes. A cold, emotionless electronic voice buzzed in my head, dragging me kicking and screaming from a deep sleep. So noisy. I mumbled, my mind a complete fog. I forced my leaden eyelids open, rubbing them with a groan. What the hell is this? A system? Transmigration? As a hardcore reader who had clocked 8,280 hours and devoured 23,806 books on every web fiction site imaginable, I was intimately familiar with the concepts of transmigration and the infamous name Evelyn Hayes. In theory, I should have been the most mentally prepared person on the planet for this. But when it actually happened to me, my first reaction was still a resounding, this is so damn ridiculous. My opinion of Evelyn Hayes was rock bottom. I'd read pretty much every story she was in. In the novels, she and the hero were childhood sweethearts, practically engaged since they were kids. But the champagne in their engagement flutes was still cold when she turned around and fell into the arms of the gentle, attentive second male lead, Ethan Cole. She came from nothing, using the hero's resources and support to claw her way up to become a titan of industry, a billionaire. But then a new intern, a kid who'd been at the company for all of 3 months, shows up, and for a fleeting taste of novelty and true love, she kicks the man who stood by her for years to the curb without a second thought. For a stupid bet, she once pretended to be terminally ill and flat broke, grabbing some random Good Samaritan off the street. She let him work 3 jobs, drain his life savings to pay for her treatment, only to finally drop a breezy, sorry, I can compensate you. Her ex-boyfriend dumped her to run off to Europe with Samaris. The hero was there for her, treated her like a queen, and she was so moved she finally accepted him. But on the eve of their wedding, the ex came back, diagnosed with a terminal illness and needing a kidney transplant. Without a moment's hesitation, she guilted the hero into giving his kidney to her ex. A woman like that needs redemption. We should all be grateful she's not out there actively ruining more lives. I refused. I cut the damn system off before it could finish, my voice sharp and final. I don't have many virtues, but I'm stubborn as hell. A born contrarian. If the Reaper told me I was due at midnight, I'd slit my own throat at 10. My motto was simple. My fate is my own, not heaven's. Ding. This is a mandatory mission issued by the system. There will be substantial rewards upon completion. The voice droned on, trying to persuade me. I don't give a damn who issued what stupid mission. I yelled back, my frustration boiling over. I said I won't do it. A scumbag like Evelyn Hayes? Not even a dog would try to save her. As I was waging war with the system in my head, a soft click echoed through the room. The bedroom door swung open. A slender silhouette stood against the dim, ambient light from the hallway. It was only then that I realized I was lying in an incredibly soft, spacious bed, in a room dripping with opulent luxury. I squinted, my eyes struggling to adjust, trying to make out who had just walked in. The woman saw me sitting up and froze for a second, then covered her mouth with her hand, letting out a soft, musical laugh. Honey, you're awake? Still sleepy. Her voice was husky and sweet, tinged with the slight laziness of someone who had just woken up. It was the kind of voice that made your skin tingle. Honey? My brain short-circuited. Wasn't this plot moving a little too fast? Who are you? How did I get here? I asked instinctively, my voice raspy with sleep. The woman froze again, then burst into a peal of laughter that made her body tremble. She glided elegantly to the bedside and leaned down, her stunningly beautiful face filling my vision. Darling, you're being so strange today. It's me, Evelyn. Your wife, Evelyn Hayes. My wife, Evelyn Hayes. I haven't even agreed to the mission, and it's already started? Damn this system. I muttered under my breath, narrowing my eyes to study her. One look was all it took. I sucked in a sharp breath, and my traitorous heart skipped several beats. Holy hell. It wasn't just a look, it was a mortal blow. I've been around, seen my share of beauties. The sultry sirens, the pure ingenues, the ice queens. I'd seen them all. But this woman, Evelyn, she would win just by standing in the same room. Even A-list celebrities and supermodels couldn't hold a candle to her. Her figure, her aura, the way she moved, it was all inimitable. Her beauty transcended mere facial features. It was a kind of charisma that was baked into her very bones, a refined elegance polished to absolute perfection. So this was the legendary Evelyn Hayes, the woman who dominated every story she was in. No wonder the consensus on her was always the same. A cheat, a fool, a villain, a victim. She's been poor, rich, and kind, but she's never ever been ugly. A war raged within me. All the descriptions I'd read about her felt so pale and weak in the face of this living, breathing, intoxicating woman. Hey, honey, what's wrong? Why are you staring like that? You're drooling. Evelyn waved a slender hand in front of my face. When I didn't react, she placed her hands on my shoulders and gave me a gentle shake. Save her. I'll save her. A dog wouldn't, but I will. I don't care if the other guy in this story is named Jared, Mason, or Ethan Cole. I'll kill every last one of them. I declared without hesitation, as if responding to the system and making a vow to myself. Evelyn was completely baffled by my sudden outburst. She reached out and felt my forehead, her face etched with concern. Honey, are you running a fever? Why are you talking nonsense? Who are Jared and Mason? And what did Ethan Cole do to you that you want to kill him? When she mentioned Ethan Cole, her tone was calm, as if he were just some insignificant name. So it is Ethan Cole. As I suspected, that manipulative pretty boy is already in her life. But judging by her reaction, they probably don't have a special relationship yet. Good. Perfect. I'm going to crush any spark between them before it even has a chance to ignite. Looking at the beauty so close to me, a fire started burning in my gut. I couldn't hold back any longer. I pulled her in my arms. The shocking softness, the warm, fragrant sensation of her body against mine, made me lose almost all control. Evelyn. My voice was hoarse with suppressed desire. It's getting late. Why don't we call it night? Evelyn's face flushed crimson. She struggled for a moment, giving my chest a light push, but it was so gentle it felt more like an invitation than a rejection. Honey, you're really not yourself today. It's 7 in the morning. Ah, that tickles. You're terrible. I made breakfast. Go wash up, and after we eat, we can head to the office together. She tapped my chest playfully. I think I'll have something different for breakfast today. A wicked grin spread across my face as I flipped her over, pinning her beneath me. Today, I'm having you. With that, I lowered my head and captured her tempting lips. Hey, stop it. MMPH. The rest of her protests were swallowed whole. I'll skip the parts you're not interested in. By the time we finally got ourselves together and went downstairs, the wall clock was pointing to 9:30. Evelyn's walk was noticeably unnatural. She pouted the entire time, shooting me resentful glances and complaining under her breath. This is all your fault. You were like a bull this morning, no gentleness at all. My legs are still weak. I can barely even walk straight. Seeing her looking so flustered and adorable, I felt a surge of pride, but I put on an innocent face and diligently placed a perfectly poached egg on her plate. You worked hard, honey. Eat up, get your strength back. We can continue tonight. You're impossible. So shameless. Her face grew even redder, like a ripe apple. She shot me a playful glare, but the corners of her eyes held a satisfied, flirtatious spark she couldn't hide. On the drive to her company, she continued to list my crimes, complaining that I had no respect for time and was making her late. I kept apologizing, but my mind was already busy planning my strategy for the evening, brainstorming new maneuvers to try. This is the life. But that Ethan Cole guy, I need to deal with him, and fast. Can't let things drag on. We soon arrived at the impressive glass and steel skyscraper that housed her company. I parked my expensive sports car, quickly walked around to the passenger side, and opened the door for her like a true gentleman. I carefully helped her out of the car. She clung to my arm, leaning most of her weight on me as she tried to make her stride look natural. Our intimate, lovey-dovey display immediately drew stares from employees passing by, their faces a mixture of envy and surprise. This TSK. Look at you, you can barely walk. I'd better escort you upstairs myself. Just to be safe, I whispered in her ear with a smirk. She rolled her eyes, but didn't say anything, tacitly agreeing. She even subconsciously quickened her pace, eager to escape the sea of stairs and get to her private elevator. The elevator shot straight up to the top floor, where the executive offices were located. I was whispering and laughing with Evelyn the whole way and didn't pay much attention to our surroundings until a soft ding announced our arrival and the doors slid open. Thwack! A sharp sound, like a stack of papers hitting the floor, shattered the quiet of the hallway. We both looked toward the sound. Standing at the elevator entrance was a young man with a boyish face, staring at us in complete shock. He had probably never seen me before, and the sight of me being so intimate with Evelyn must have been a major shock. After a few seconds of stunned silence, he scrambled to squat down, frantically gathering the scattered documents from the floor. He was dressed in trendy streetwear that clashed with the company's formal, professional atmosphere. His face was clearly made up with care, making him stick out like a sore thumb among the sea of suits. I narrowed my eyes, giving him a quick head-to-toe scan. Average height, fair skin, and a face that looked completely harmless, even a little innocent. The type that easily triggers a woman's maternal instincts. Considering the original plot and the system's alert, this had to be him. The founding father of manipulative pretty boys, my number one potential threat in this world, Ethan Cole. Seeing the mess, Evelyn's brow furrowed in annoyance. She walked over to Ethan, her voice cold and dripping with executive authority. Look at you, clumsy with everything you do. You can't even carry a stack of files without dropping them. Ethan, if I recall, you have 1 month left in your probationary period. If you don't show any improvement in your work ethic and competence, you can submit your resignation yourself. Her tone was blunt, her eyes filled with disdain as she looked at him. I knew the script all too well. It starts with contempt, then after a series of calculated moves by Ethan, she starts to think he's special. Finally, after he frames the hero, a rift forms between them. To be fair, the original hero was partly to blame. His constant retreat and failure to defend himself only deepened the misunderstandings. From the looks of it, we were still in the early stages, where Evelyn found him completely annoying. It seemed I had arrived at the perfect time. Ethan finished gathering the papers and shot to his feet, the corners of his eyes slightly red. He gave Evelyn a deep, 90-degree bow, his face a mask of sincere apology, his voice laced with just the right amount of panic. I'm so sorry, Ms. Hayes. I'm so sorry. It was my carelessness. I'll be more careful next time. I promise this kind of basic mistake will never happen again. His attitude was so humble it was almost painful to watch. If I didn't know his true nature, I would have thought Evelyn had been too harsh. All right. Evelyn waved her hand dismissively. Put those files in my office, then get back to your work. Yes, Ms. Hayes. Right away. Ethan kept his head bowed, clutching the files as he stepped aside to let us pass. As I walked past him, I glanced back sharply. I caught him staring at my back, his eyes burning with a mixture of jealousy, resentment, and raw ambition. Caught off guard, Ethan's face flushed with panic. He quickly averted his gaze and scurried away. I smirked. Nice act, kid. You almost had me fooled. Too bad you ran into me, a seasoned veteran who knows all 800 variations of your playbook. You think you can pull a fast one on me with your amateur hour tricks? You're in for a world of pain. After seeing Evelyn to her spacious and luxurious corner office, I sat with her on the sofa for a while, listening to her complain about the intern who couldn't seem to do anything right. Before long, her assistant came in to inform her of an important executive meeting. Evelyn gave me a quick kiss on the cheek and left. Alone in the vast, quiet office, I wandered around aimlessly. The floor-to-ceiling windows offered a stunning panorama of the bustling city, but I was in no mood to admire the view. I couldn't just sit back and wait. Ethan had already appeared. According to the original plot, he would soon start his campaign of coincidental run-ins and feigned concern, manufacturing misunderstandings between me and Evelyn. Once he succeeded, our ending would be tragic. I'd be forced to leave the country in disgrace, and Evelyn would be left with nothing after he funneled away her assets. I had to strike first. I had to completely cut off any chance he had of getting close to her. I had to snuff him out now. I leaned back in the plush executive chair, closed my eyes, and quickly replayed the parts of the novel involving Ethan. The guy was, at his core, a leech who got by on his looks and manipulative tactics. He had mediocre skills at best, and his specialty was sucking up to Evelyn at work while orchestrating chance encounters and showing fake concern in her personal life, all to drive a wedge between the main couple. Got it. My eyes snapped open. You like to frame people, huh? Fine. Let's see how you like a taste of your own medicine. I stood up, straightened my suit, and walked out of the office, pretending to casually stroll through the open-plan workspace. My eyes scanned the employees until they landed on the perfect target, a female employee who was attractive and had a great figure. I waited for my chance. When she went to the break room to make coffee, I followed her in and casually closed the door behind me. Seeing me shut the door, the woman looked surprised and nervous. After all, I was the CEO's husband. Yes, sir. Can I help you with something? I looked at her and got straight to the point. Don't be nervous. There's an opportunity to make some easy money if you're interested. Her eyes lit up for a fraction of a second before her guard went back up. Sir, what do you mean? I'm not that kind of girl. I didn't waste time with words. I pulled a checkbook from my inner jacket pocket, scribbled down a number that made her eyes go wide, tore it out, and slid it across the counter to her. It's simple. Help me with a little performance, and this is yours. The woman stared at the check, her breathing quickening, her chest rising and falling. It was clear a fierce internal battle was taking place. What do you need me to do? She asked, her voice trembling slightly. I leaned in closer and laid out my plan in a low whisper. When I finished, I could see the relief wash over her, though it was mixed with a hint of disappointment. She agreed without a moment's hesitation. Sir, don't worry. I'll get it done. I'll give you an Oscar-worthy performance. I've been sick of that pretty boy for a while now, always acting so pure and innocent. The way he dresses and always tries to get close to the CEO. You could tell he's up to no good. That afternoon, the opportunity presented itself. I saw Ethan, alone, carrying a thick stack of documents into the relatively secluded print room at the end of the hall. The woman caught my eye from a distance and gave me a subtle okay sign. She quickly smoothed her clothes and hair, then followed him inside. I timed it perfectly, pacing casually outside, my ears peeled for any sound from the print room. Sure enough, a few minutes later, a high-pitched, terrified scream erupted from within. What are you doing? No, please. Let go of me. Help. Showtime. I smiled, then threw the door open with a dramatic shove, yelling, What's going on? Behind me, several other employees, drawn by the scream, followed, their faces masks of confusion. Inside the print room, the top 2 buttons of the woman's blouse were torn open, revealing a hint of her collarbone. Her hair was disheveled, and she was clutching her chest, cowering in a corner. Her body was trembling, and tears welled up in her eyes on cue. Damn, her acting was better than most of the starlets on TV. Ethan, meanwhile, stood there looking completely bewildered, a few freshly printed pages still in his hand, with absolutely no clue what was happening. You animal, what did you do to her? I didn't give Ethan a single moment to process or explain. I lunged forward, grabbed him by the collar, and swung, slapping him hard across the face. A bright red handprint immediately swelled on his pale cheek. Seeing me, the woman scrambled over as if I were her savior, grabbing my arm and sobbing out her accusation. He assaulted me. I came in to print a document, and he suddenly grabbed me from behind. He had his hands all over me, trying to rip my clothes off. I was so scared. She cried hysterically, her shoulders shaking, looking like she had been grievously wronged. You're lying. I didn't do anything. You're framing me. Ethan finally snapped out of his shock, his face turning deathly pale as he frantically tried to defend himself. His voice cracked with desperation. I was just printing files. She just started screaming. I never even touched her. She's slandering me. She's slandering me. Bullshit. I roared, cutting him off before he could finish. I shot a fist forward, landing a brutal punch squarely on his prized pretty boy face. Why would a woman use her own reputation to frame you? I despise two-faced pieces of trash like you who don't have the guts to own up to what they did. Ethan let out a piercing scream as blood gushed from his nose. He staggered backward, crashing hard against the corner of a table. I was about to land a few more punches, but I didn't get the chance. Several male employees who had followed me and stormed past, descending on Ethan with a flurry of fists and kicks. It turned out the woman was popular at the office, known for flirting and keeping several men on the hook at the same time. She had a certain charm, and seeing her assaulted, these men saw their chance to be heroes. Besides, they already despised Ethan and his manipulative act. Each one seemed afraid he wouldn't get a punch in, and the blows rained down on him like a hailstorm. Stop! Stop it! I swear I didn't do it. I'm innocent. Ms. Hayes, get Ms. Hayes, she'll clear my name. Ethan curled into a ball on the floor, howling in pain as he tried to protect his head. Blood and tears streamed down his face, and his carefully chosen outfit was covered in dusty footprints. He was a pathetic sight. The surrounding employees just pointed and whispered, some even laughing, but no one moved to break it up. Just then, Evelyn, finished with her meeting, returned. Seeing the crowd and hearing the commotion, she came over to investigate. What's going on? What is all this noise about? Evelyn's eyes took in the chaotic scene. The trashed print room, 5 or 6 men kicking Ethan on the floor, and the disheveled woman sobbing nearby. She knew this was serious. The men stopped their assault. I walked over and pointed at Ethan, who now looked like a stray dog on the verge of death. Honey, you're just in time. This man, Ethan, has the audacity to sexually assault a female colleague right here in the office. The woman chose that moment to stumble over to Evelyn, her crying escalating into heartbreaking sobs. Ms. Hayes, you have to help me. He was. If Sir hadn't arrived when he did, I don't know what would have happened. Wow. She choked on her words, unable to finish, but the effect was achieved. Evelyn's gaze on the crumpled form of Ethan on the floor turned ice cold, filled with undisguised disgust and contempt. She didn't even bother to listen to his feeble attempts at a defense. She waved to the security guards behind her, her voice firm and absolute. Call the police. Get this scum out of my building. And notify HR. He's fired, effective immediately. Our company has no place for morally bankrupt trash like this. Ms. Hayes, I'm innocent. They framed me. She framed me. Please, Ms. Hayes, just listen to my explanation. I'm begging you. Two burly security guards hoisted Ethan up by his arms. He struggled wildly, screaming his innocence. But Evelyn didn't spare him another glance, as if looking at him would physically soil her. She turned to me, her expression instantly softening as she took my hand, carefully inspecting my reddened knuckles. Honey, are you okay? Does your hand hurt? Next time, don't get involved yourself. It's not worth getting hurt over human garbage. Then she turned to the still sobbing woman and said reassuringly, Don't be afraid. The company will ensure you get justice. You'll receive a double bonus this month and 1 week of paid leave. Take the time to recover. Thank you, Ms. Hayes. Thank you, sir. The woman whimpered gratefully. Ethan was dragged away like a sack of garbage, destined for a police investigation and legal consequences. With the evidence so overwhelmingly against him, he was ultimately sentenced to 15 days in county jail for assault, leaving a permanent stain on his record. Those 15 days of Ethan's detention were the most peaceful and blissful days since my arrival in this world. Without that looming threat hanging around, Evelyn and I lived in our own perfect bubble. I put my extensive knowledge from countless novels to good use, showering her with romantic gestures and sweet nothings. One day, it was a bouquet of her favorite flowers, the next a camel at dinner, and the day after a ride on the Ferris wheel overlooking the city lights. The surprises were endless. I had become a master of seduction, and I had Evelyn completely smitten. She was always smiling, and the way she looked at me was so tender it was like honey dripping from her eyes. Our relationship heated up dramatically. We were inseparable. She started leaving work on time, pushing off social engagements just to come home and be with me. I even started to think that, even without the system's rewards, spending the rest of my life with Evelyn like this would be a pretty fantastic outcome. However, I had clearly underestimated the resilience and sheer vileness of a cockroach. I had also underestimated Ethan's obsessive, vindictive nature. 15 days later, Ethan was released. Though he'd been fired, he started haunting Evelyn's route to and from work like a ghost, stalking and harassing her. He seemed convinced that if he could just get a chance to expose my true nature to her, he could win her back. One afternoon, I was lounging comfortably on the sofa in our home theater, video chatting with Evelyn, who was still at the office. We were debating whether to try a new Michelin-starred restaurant for dinner or if I should cook her my specialty at home. Honey, I heard it's almost impossible to get a reservation there. Evelyn was smiling on the screen, about to say something more. Suddenly, a familiar and repulsive voice cut through from her end, growing louder and more frantic. Ms. Hayes, Ms. Hayes, wait, please listen to me. I was framed. That bitch and your husband set me up. You have to believe me. My feelings for you are real. It was Ethan. The smile vanished from Evelyn's face, replaced by a dark scowl. She spoke quickly into the phone, her voice laced with annoyance and a hint of nervousness. Honey, that psycho is back. He's in the underground parking garage, blocking my car. I shouted from the sofa. Stay in the car and lock the doors. I commanded. Don't get out. I'm on my way. I hung up and immediately summoned the two most capable bodyguards we had on staff. We sped towards Evelyn's office building. When I arrived, I saw her luxury sedan stopped in the garage's exit lane, doors locked, with Evelyn looking furious in the driver's seat. Ethan was plastered to the passenger side window like a piece of gum on a shoe, banging on the glass and screaming his head off. Ms. Hayes, give me a chance. Just 5 minutes. Let me explain. I'm the one who truly cares about you. It's that man who... Ethan, I shouted, striding towards him with my two imposing, stone-faced bodyguards. Ethan whipped his head around. When he saw me, his eyes turned bloodshot, filled with a deep-seated hatred and an almost crazed defiance. This is all your fault. You scheming bastard. He had apparently cornered the girl from the office and threatened her with a knife until she told him the truth. But what good did that do him now? I couldn't be bothered to waste a single word on him. I simply gave my bodyguards a look. They understood immediately, grabbing Ethan from both sides and pinning him. What are you doing? Let me go. This is kidnapping. Is there no law in this city? Ethan struggled desperately, but his strength was nothing against trained professionals. I walked slowly towards him, looking down at his face, which was twisted with rage and fear. I leaned in and whispered, my voice low enough for only him to hear. So what if I framed you? This is what happens when you mess with my wife. You think this is over? How naive. The show is just getting started. Without another glance at his hate-filled expression, I gave the order to my men. Take him away. Proceed as planned. Yes, boss, they responded in unison, their voices devoid of emotion. Evelyn finally opened her car door and rushed into my arms, still trembling slightly. Honey, that was terrifying. Why is he so persistent? He's like a ghost you can't get rid of. I held her close, gently stroking her back. It's okay now, Evelyn. It's over. I'm here. I promise he will never have the chance to harass you again. What are you going to do? Evelyn looked up at me, a flicker of worry in her eyes. Just teach him a lesson. He's not worth getting into serious trouble over. I could see she was worried about me. I smiled, kissed her forehead, and gave her a reassuring look. Don't worry, darling. I know what I'm doing. I'm just sending him somewhere nice, a place where he can reform himself. His personality is too twisted. He needs to relearn how to be a human being, so he doesn't come out and harm anyone else. The nice place I had in mind was one of my own properties, a lavishly decorated, top-tier nightclub on the edge of the city that operated in a legal gray area. And the reformation I had planned for Ethan was simple and direct. He was going to be a male escort. Furthermore, I gave specific instructions. His clients were to be exclusively wealthy older women, 60 years of age and up, with unique tastes, insatiable appetites, and perhaps a few psychological or physical quirks. He had a pretty face and wanted to charm women? Fine. I'd grant his wish. The bodyguards brought Ethan to the back office of the nightclub. The manager was a mountain of a man with a shaved head, a hostile glare, and a thick gold chain around his neck. Everyone called him Rocco. Rocco, the boss's orders. Take good care of this one. The bodyguard delivered my instructions, his voice flat, but he put a special emphasis on the words take good care. Rocco looked Ethan up and down. Even battered and bruised, it was clear he had good features. A cruel, knowing smile spread across Rocco's face. He thumped his chest. I get it. Tell the boss not to worry. I'll make sure he's handled properly. Around here, it only takes 2 days to break in a pretty boy like this. Ethan's eyes darted around the dimly lit room, taking in the menacing figures and the various whips, chains, and other implements hanging on the walls. He began to tremble, his voice a mixture of fear and bravado. What? What are you going to do? Let me out of here. This is illegal. Without a word, Rocco backhanded him across the face. The slap echoed through the room, drawing blood from the corner of Ethan's mouth. Illegal. Rocco sneered, grabbing Ethan's chin in a grip so tight it felt like it would shatter his jaw. In here, the boss's word is the law. Listen up, kid. In my house, you do as you're told. You got 2 choices. 1, you be a good boy and service the clients. Or 2, I have my guys break your legs first, and then you service the clients. You pick. Ethan had never encountered this level of raw, underworld brutality. His petty manipulations were a pathetic joke in the face of such absolute violence. He tried to cling to one last shred of dignity. I'll die before I do that. Go on. Kill me if you have the guts. Oh, got some fight in you, huh? Rocco laughed as if he'd just heard the funniest joke in the world. He waved over a few of his hulking thugs. All right, let's follow protocol. Loosen him up a bit first. Give him a taste of what we do here. Let him learn that in this place, even dying is a luxury. The thugs swarmed him. Ethan's screams were muffled as they pinned him to the cold floor. One of them picked up a solid steel pipe and, without any hesitation, brought it down hard on Ethan's limbs. A scream so agonizing it barely sounded human ripped through the soundproofed room. Crack, crack. The sickening sound of bones snapping was clearly audible. Ethan's arms and legs were broken, one by one. The searing, mind-shattering pain sent his body into convulsions, his eyes bulging as he nearly passed out. So, what's it going to be now? You obey, or we continue. Rocco pressed the sole of his leather shoe onto Ethan's face, which was contorted in agony. The extreme pain and terror completely shattered Ethan's psychological defenses. Tears and snot streamed down his face as he gasped for mercy. I'll do it. I'll do whatever you say. Anything. Please. Stop hitting me. It hurts so much. Should have just been cooperative from the start. Always got to learn the hard way, Rocco said, kicking him away in disgust. He gestured to one of his men. Patch him up. Stop the bleeding, but don't let him die. Then throw him in the special services wing. Tell the madam over there that any clients over 50 with rough taste who like to play, he's their top recommendation. The boss gave special orders. He's to be given extra attention. No need to be gentle. And so, Ethan's hell began. He was tossed into a room like a piece of trash, his limbs in crude splints that sent jolts of pain through him with the slightest movement. Every day, he was forced to entertain clients who were old, out of shape, and cruel, women who derived pleasure from his humiliation and suffering. The slightest hint of reluctance, any sign of resistance, or his failure to satisfy their depraved requests was met with a merciless beating and the denial of food and water. To survive, to lessen the physical torment, he became a walking corpse, numbly enduring the daily torture and soul-crushing degradation. The handsome face he was once so proud of, the face he used to manipulate others, was now a hollow mask of despair. His eyes were empty voids. His mind and body were deteriorating at an alarming rate. In less than a month, the once presentable Ethan Cole was a wreck. His body was a tapestry of old and new injuries. Due to the nature of his work and the lack of any protection, he quickly contracted a host of diseases. He was constantly running a fever, coughing endlessly, and had become so thin he was barely recognizable. He had lost all his value. One day, Rocco called me to report on the situation. "Boss, that kid is finished. He's sick, can't take clients anymore. They're disgusted just looking at him. So, what do you want us to do?" Listening on the other end, my expression didn't change. It was as if he were discussing something completely unrelated to me. "Useless trash," I said, my voice flat and cold. "Why keep him around? He's a waste of food. By the way, doesn't Jimmy have that gator farm out in the swamps?" "Yes, boss." "Understood." Rocco replied crisply. "What are you talking about? What gator farm?" Evelyn emerged from the kitchen with a plate of sliced fruit. She was wearing a sexy silk nightgown and gracefully walked over to feed me a grape. Even after all this time, the sight of her like this still set my blood on fire. "Nothing." I hung up the phone and pulled her into my lap. "I was thinking of getting you a new handbag. Alligator skin has the best texture. I'll go check out the raw materials tomorrow and have one custom made for you." Mwah. Evelyn planted a firm kiss on my cheek. "My husband is the best." She rested her head on my shoulder, her fingers intertwining with mine. "Honey," she whispered, "sometimes I feel like my life right now is too good to be true, like a dream. I'm so lucky I met you." I leaned down and kissed her hair, which smelled faintly of jasmine. "Why so sentimental all of a sudden? That doesn't sound like the decisive CEO I know." "I was just thinking," she said, tilting her head up to look at me. Her beautiful eyes shimmered in the dim light, full of love. "Before, I always thought my career was everything. I worked myself to the bone, trying to prove myself, thinking that was success. It wasn't until I met you that I understood how warm it feels to be truly cherished, to be protected and loved." "Honey," she said, her gaze becoming incredibly soft and serious. "What is it, darling? Let's have a baby." I saw the maternal glow in her eyes, the deep longing, and my heart filled with an infinite warmth. I squeezed her hand and nodded solemnly. "Okay, whatever you want. Let's have two. A daughter as beautiful as you, and a son as handsome as me. What if they're as stubborn as you?" Evelyn blinked playfully, a mischievous smile on her lips. "That would be a good thing." I laughed, scooping her up into my arms, earning a small gasp of surprise. If she's like me, no one will ever dare to bully her. But before we start debating who the baby will take after, don't we need to put in the work? Practice makes perfect, after all. "Oh, you're terrible. Again, put me down." Evelyn laughed, her fists playfully drumming against my chest, but her arms wrapped securely around my neck as she buried her blushing face in the crook of my neck. 2 years passed in the blink of an eye. Today was the 1-month celebration for our son. We were hosting a grand party at our luxurious villa. The place was packed with guests, glasses clinked, and the air was filled with laughter and congratulations. I was busy greeting guests, my face beaming with the pride of a new father. Evelyn had recovered beautifully from childbirth. Her figure was as stunning as ever, but her face now held a gentle, maternal radiance. She wore an elegant champagne-colored gown and was holding our chubby, healthy son, whose big, dark eyes were curiously taking in the world. She was chatting and laughing with a few of her friends. A little while later, Evelyn, holding the baby, walked over to me with 3 women who were all distinct but equally, dazzlingly beautiful. "Honey, come over here," Evelyn called out with a smile. "I want to formally introduce you to my 3 best friends who just got back in the country." She pointed to each of them in turn. "This is Clara Vance, that's Scarlett Rhodes, and this is Diana Sterling. They're my very best friends, and they came all this way to see the baby." Holy crap, weren't these the 4 legendary heroines of the web novel universe? Today, they were all here. My eyes swept over the 3 women, and a tidal wave of shock crashed through me. To Evelyn's left was Clara Vance, whose aura was as gentle as water. Her eyes were pure, almost timid, giving her a fragile, damsel-in-distress quality. She was the classic once-in-a-century beauty. In the middle was Scarlet Rhodes, who was vibrant and glamorous. Every smile and every glance radiated confidence and pride, like a rose in full bloom. She was truly a worldly stunner. And on the right was Diana Sterling, whose cool, refined elegance made her seem like she belonged to another world. There was a faint, aloof quality in her eyes, befitting the title of a timeless, ethereal beauty. Each one was a masterpiece, beautiful in her own unique way. Standing together, they were a blindingly spectacular sight. Whoa, I muttered under my breath. The visual impact of the four of them together was even more intense than the first time I saw Evelyn. "Honey, you're drooling again," Evelyn whispered, tugging discreetly on my sleeve, her voice tinged with amused exasperation. "Haha, it's nothing." I snapped back to reality. "Quick, please, take your friends inside to rest. It's crowded out here. You can catch up properly in the lounge." Evelyn and her three friends exchanged a knowing smile, seemingly unfazed by my reaction. They chatted happily as they carried the baby towards the quieter, more comfortable part of the house. I watched their elegant figures recede, my mind still reeling. All four great heroines in one place. The scene was just too much. What the hell was the system planning? As if in response to my thoughts, the long-dormant, cold electronic voice echoed in my head once more. "Ding! Host has been detected successfully completing the core mission. Redeem Evelyn Hayes. Host has also achieved the hidden ending, a life of happiness. System overall score, A+. In light of the fact that your methods during this mission were extreme but effective, and the final outcome was perfect, the system is now issuing a follow-up expansion mission. Redeem the other three ill-fated heroines, Clara Vance, Scarlet Rhodes, and Diana Sterling. Do you accept this expansion mission?" As soon as the voice faded, a translucent, pale blue panel materialized in my vision, visible only to me. "Accept expansion, mission reject, expansion mission." I stared at the panel, then instinctively glanced back at the three breathtaking women who were now cooing over my son, their smiles capable of toppling nations. My mind flashed back to the heartbreaking tragedies they each suffered in their original stories. Redeem them? That meant getting involved in three more complicated plot lines, facing three more difficult rivals or villains. The risks were enormous. But then, I thought of Evelyn's happy smile, of the warm, soft weight of my son in my arms, of everything I now had. If my intervention could change their predetermined tragic fates and allow them to find the happiness they deserved, then what was a little more trouble for me? With almost no hesitation, my gaze hardened with resolve. I took a deep breath and, with a thought, decisively clicked the Accept Expansion mission option. A new story, it seemed, was just beginning,